All right, Ryan, stall flying is about getting airborne and back down in the shortest possible distance. What's the mindset and technique that separates a great stall performance from a good one?
I would say the most important mindset to have anytime you're doing STOL flying is safety. I mean, you're flying the airplane on the edge of what it's capable to do to be able to land in these really short strips. So always having, an out or a plan if things go wrong is the number one thing. But sometimes you're going to places where you get one shot at it, and if you don't make it, sometimes there's not a way out. So just being disciplined and knowing what your skill level is, I think, is really important. And just goes back to that safety thing. You don't just jump in a Super Cub that you have 2 hours in and go into some of the hardest strips in Idaho. You really got to just start off on bigger spots and work your way up, really fine tune and learn how to feel your airplane. And I think that's the best way to being successful with doing the backcountry flying safely. My name is Ryan Melendez. I'm the creator of Warriors with Wings.
Many of the aircraft here are heavily modified or optimized for backcountry operations. What are the key modifications or design features that you found impactful for stall? And tell me about it.
Yeah, so this is a certified 1954 Piper Super Cub. I rebuilt it about 3 years ago now. It took me 2 years to rebuild. And when I was rebuilding it, I knew I wanted to do some real backcountry flying and get into the national STOL competitions. So we decked it out with pretty much every SEC known to man for Piper Super Cubs. So one of the coolest things is that we've got the double slotted Fowler flaps here. Gives us about 55 degrees of flap, and then the fact that the wind can go through the flap obviously helps with creating a little more aerodynamic lift. We also have some titanium gear, which was made from Alaska Gear Company. Saves us a lot of weight. We've got Acme's Black Ops shocks. Between that and the big bush wheel tires, this thing's pretty much impossible to have a really hard landing in. It's like landing in a marshmallow. We have Sentinich propellers, 82-inch ground adjustable prop. This is really great for me being in California, kind of being a far way from a lot of these competitions and stuff. Takes me about 10 minutes to be able to switch it from full cruise to full climb once I get to the competition. The thing that takes me the longest is actually just unscrewing the nose spinner. Once I get that thing off, it's pretty easy to get going. What else? We also, as you can see on the wings, we've got the VGs. In addition to that, we've got a leading edge cuff that was created by Crosswind Stoll up in Alaska. That just helps us come in with a slightly slower airspeed, so that way we can every mile per hour we can lose is a foot or two here and there, and sometimes these Stoll competitions come down to 1 foot on the winner. We've got Airframe Alaska's aluminum lift struts, so a lot lighter than the old sealed lift struts that Piper originally made. We also have a squared off Piper wing with extended ailerons that go all the way out to the tip. So that really helps out because plane stalls from wing roots out. Once we get into that slow airspeed, having all that aileron out there at the way tip, we still got quite a bit of airflow over there, so it gives us a lot more roll authority when we're flying around at a speed close to stall. We've got the droopy wingtips, and then on the back, you can see our stall fence, which just kind of helps keep that airflow um, close to the wing and not disrupting out to the wingtip as well. In the tail, we've got a Stinger tail wheel. My airplane, I actually want more weight in the tail. Not that it's a heavy tail wheel itself, but um, it's just a little heavier than just a normal leaf spring, which allows me to get on the brakes a little harder. And also, when we're doing the competitions, we're trying to increase our angle attack as quickly as possible. So you'll see guys with the tail up, and then they'll quickly bring the tail down and kind of smack the tail into the ground, trying to jump the plane up. So having that shock absorbing action just kind of preserves the lifespan of the airframe, as well as it doesn't allow the tail to pop back up, decreasing my angle of attack. So if I pull back too early, it just kind of sits on the ground until the plane's ready to fly.
Right on. It's pretty badass that you're walking me through it because I was watching you guys yesterday
Yeah.
at the Invitational. So,
Mhm.
um, You know, I don't fly yet, and down in Miami, we get mainly we have a small light sports and stuff.
Yep,
We don't have any bush plays.
of course. Yeah, there's not a lot of
So coming
spots
out
to.
here to Sun Fun and checking these out, and it's
It's
like
amazing, right?
it's amazing. Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's a great airplane. And in the front, we kind of went a little crazy. We've got a whole bunch of. We'll show you up there. We've got a full IFR panel, so that way, if I'm having to get to a competition, there's a little bit of an overcast layer. We can pop through the clouds. We've got 3 GI 275s by Garmin, and then their transponder GPS 375, as well as my iPad, because I need 4 flights to be able to get around. And then the interior panels were made by Fairings, etc. They helped lighten up the original aluminum panels, and we made them out of uh, fiberglass, and we're working towards making them out of carbon fiber in the future, just to kind of save a little more weight, because every pound we can save is a foot shorter in distance.
It's pretty incredible.
I will say the most important ones would probably be the Pistol flaps, the double slotted Fowler flaps, the Acme suspension, and
Definitely.
probably the tail wheel and in the main gear, and then the VGs and the sole puff.
So here at Sun and Fun, you're pretty much competing this week, right?
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about the competition, and what are you striving for when you're lining up for that touchdown?
Yeah, so Sun and Fun's really unique. They've invited about 15 of us STOL pilots that compete in the National STOL Series to come out. And really, it's meant to be kind of a demo, but for the crowd, they don't know that. And it's kind of a competition against all of us. So in the national STOL competitions that are across the country, we're split up into classes. So there's Cub classes, which is what I compete in. There's an unlimited class, which is where you see like Dan Reynolds and his crazy Chinook taking off in 0 feet, basically. So, but when we come out here in the Sun and Fun, it's everyone kind of combined into different heats and going at the same time. So my goal here for Sun Fun is just really to have a good time. I know there's some people I can't beat, but that being said, this old 1954 Piper Super Cub, I think most of the nights we've been coming around fourth in the total takeoff and landing distance out of the 15, which, I mean, there's 2 guys I couldn't beat, even if I lawn darted this thing into the ground, they'd still beat me. And it's just, this plane has always impressed me with how well it performs against all these other highly modified experimental aircraft.
Yeah, we could look around bush camp
Oh,
here, and there's some. I don't even have the words for
I
it.
know. They're monsters.
They're monsters.
Monster planes.
Then you got one that I don't know where he's at. He is number 26 on the back, and it sounds like a diesel truck
Yeah.
when it's
No,
like pulling away.
probably is that the big red and white one?
Yeah,
Yeah, the Murphy. That thing
yeah,
is
that thing
it's
is
got
huge.
I think it's got 600
Yeah,
horsepower, or it might be more, but it is a
yeah,
monster.
it's like a monster truck of stole.
It's yeah, for sure.
What's the trickiest part of judging a stole takeoff or landing? Is it power management, wind surface, or something else entirely?
I think the hardest thing is probably landing at with the STOL competitions. You're not allowed to land on the line that we're trying to land on. You have to land just past it. So a lot of us, I mean, when you're out flying in real backcountry, you're trying to hit right on your line. And this, you got to aim just a foot forward. So whether it be a gust of wind or something like that, if you get any other kind of outside factor, it's so easy to float past that line and lose a good 20, 25 feet just there on your landings. So, a lot of it's external variables that we have to deal with, but that just comes with experience and kind of really knowing your airplane and feeling what the winds are doing around you to be able to land right past that line so you don't give up too much feet and distance on your landing.
What do you hope people take away when they see you flying the demo at Sun and Fun?
So my main goal for being out here doing the demo at Sun and Fun is to raise awareness for my nonprofit Warriors with Wings. We're a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to helping kids and young adults battling cancer get into aviation to experience that freedom of flight. We offer them intro flights, scholarships, and we're working towards getting flight simulators in the children's hospitals so that way they have something kind of focus on during treatment.
That's amazing.
Can you share your story on how you got started with Warriors with Wings?
My story behind starting Warriors with Wings: when I was 17 years old, I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. I was going into my senior year of high school, and 3 days in, started getting a fever and went to the nurse, had a low grade fever, went home. The next day, got a little sicker, went to a doctor, and they looked at me and said, "Oh, you just have a virus. Go home and just let time be." Next day, started to throw up and got even sicker. Went to a different doctor. They looked at me, didn't take any blood, and said, "You know what? It's just a virus. You're overreacting. Go home. Just give it a couple days." And then 2 days after that, I got so sick that I was unable to eat or drink water for the last couple days or keep it down. The whites of my eyes turned red because I burst the capillaries in my eyes. I couldn't walk. So my mom basically had to carry me into another hospital. And as soon as that doctor saw me, he knew that there was something wrong. They instantly took blood. And when they got the blood results back, they said that we're rushing you to Rady Children's Hospital, which was the nearby children's hospital. And all I remember from that day was when I got to the hospital, there's 14 or 15 doctors and nurses fighting to keep me alive. And on the ambulance ride over, I remember looking up at this nurse who was not that attractive and thinking to myself, this can't be the last person I see. So luckily we made it through. Spent 3 days in the ICU, and they told my parents at one point that they weren't sure if I was going to make it through the night. And so my dad rushed down, everyone was there, and I remember laying in the bed and looking up at my dad and telling him, I want to learn how to fly. So he ran down to Montgomery Airfield in San Diego, which was a mile down the road, got me a logbook, a PHAC, and a ground school course. So I kind of started working on stuff. So 3 days later, I was finally diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. They instantly started me on chemotherapy treatment. That same day they started the chemo, I spiked 107-degree fever, went back in the ICU, and from there spent a whole month in the oncology floor, getting my first round of chemotherapy. And I just remember the first 2 weeks just being, why me? Just very negative about the situation. But being in the children's hospital, there'd be a lot of 5 and 6-year-old kids running down up and down the hall. And I was 17 at the time. So I was thinking, you know what? If these 5 and 6-year-old kids who are going through the same thing that I am and have a smile on their face and get through this, then I should be able to do the same thing. So from that moment forward, I kind of changed my outlook on cancer and said, you know what? I'm not going to let this thing define me. And I decided to become a role model for the kids who were in the children's hospital. And so, I mean, for a month, the only friends I had were the nurses and these 5 and 6-year-old kids. So throughout that time in the hospital, I had Sporty's ground school to kind of start my aviation pathway. And then 2 months after I was diagnosed, I took my first intro flight at Montgomery Airport in a 172. And from that moment on, I was hooked. So the unfortunate thing was I had to do 3.5 years of chemotherapy treatment. So everyone told me don't get your medical because obviously you would get denied. So about a year and a half into treatment, I learned about the sport license, which all you need is a valid driver's license. And obviously there's some limitations on the kind of airplane. So my dad said, you could probably find an airplane for 20 grand that would fit in that category. So I reached out to some family to help me raise some money to buy this little 1946 Aeronca Chief, which I found on Barnstormers living here in Florida. And my 8-year-old instructor, Bob, who we came to meet at Montgomery Airport, flew out here, flew back for me. And so that kind of started my real aviation journey, was buying this 1946 Aeronca Chief. So April 2018, I bought the Chief. Its name is Snoopy. Came with the name from the guy I bought it from. And I ended up flying that around for 300-400 hours before I was finally done with treatment. And that's when I went after went for my first class medical, and the FAA instantly denied me. And they said, we need you to do these cognitive tests. We need a full write-up on your history. So it took about 8 months of fighting with them. And then after, I think, $7,000 of doing these cognitive tests to prove that I'm smarter than the average pilot, which isn't hard to prove, as we all know. They finally granted me my first class medical. And so from there, I already had enough hours to get my commercial rating. So I quickly rented a 172 and got my private and my commercial. And I was lucky enough to have all that tailwheel time. Ended up getting a job out in New Jersey towing in a 1954 Piper Super Cub. So that was my first aviation job. Was really lucky that this guy, Ashley, out in New Jersey, took a chance on me to be one of his pilots, someone he's never met before. And that same airplane is actually sitting right outside there. It looks a little different now. So I did that for about 2 years, started out in New Jersey, and then he gave me 2 Super Cubs to bring out to the West Coast and started a whole new operation for them out there. Ended up flying 1,100 hours in those 2 years, hit my 1,500 hours, and then was lucky enough to get a job in September of 21, right after COVID, with Air Wisconsin. Flew my little chief out to Dayton, Ohio, lived out there for a little bit, built some time, and then during kind of the pilot shortage, I was able to sneak my way into Southwest Airlines, where I'm at today, back in April of 2023. That was also the same time that I reached out to my old boss, and I told him, hey, would you be willing to sell that Super Cub that I used to fly for you? And insurance was too much for him to insure other pilots, and it was really hard to find tailwheel pilots at the same time to meet the insurance requirements. So he sold me the airplane, and that's when I had the idea of starting something around this airplane, because it had a lot of sentimental value to me. And, having my chief, watching stuff online, I got really hooked on backcountry flying. Seen a lot of the STOL guys do the STOL competitions. I decided that I want to do that one day. And the Super Cub was going to be that way, but I also wanted to give back. So that's where my idea of Warriors with Wings came from, a way for me to give back to kids who are battling cancer, because for me, it's by far the only thing that got me through my fight. So I rebuilt the Super Cub. It became Goldie, the Warrior plane. And so today I use it to compete in the national STOL competitions. Was somehow lucky enough to get second place overall last year in the Cub class. And this year we're going to shoot for first. But it's been a really amazing journey with that airplane. The STOL community has been a really amazing community. I was a new guy, had no idea what to expect. And from the first day, everyone was there to offer me advice, what I could do better. And it's definitely made me a much better pilot today with the backcountry stuff. So if you guys want to check out the airplane later, this is it. That's us at Sulphur Springs competing in the national STOL. And so shortly after that, we got to have our first Warriors with Wings event, where we actually had all the kids who were 5, 6 years old that were battling cancer when I was going through treatment come out and fly with my friends and just have a way to kind of see what we want Warriors with Wings to look like one day, where we can have these kids battling cancer come out and fly with us and experience that freedom of flight. So a group of 5 of us took these kids up, and it was really cool to see, I knew them at 5 and 6 years old. Now they're 16, 17 at the point where they can choose to fly. And there wasn't a single one of them that didn't have the biggest smile on their face. And we have 2 of them that are looking to actively pursue their pilot's license today. So, and one other story that is kind of really unique to that was there's one kid who was going through treatment when he's unfortunately relapsed and is going through treatment again, and has just been kind of struggling to find his pathway with that, and has been struggling in different ways. So when we got to take him up on that day, it completely changed his outlook. Now has a better path. And so our goal is to help him realize his dream of becoming a pilot, just like all the other kids that we're looking to support with Warriors with Wings. So we have a couple different ways to get involved with Warriors with Wings. One of the ways, we have the Fuel a Dream program. That's a monthly donation. We have 3 categories to that. There's the Fuel a Dream, which is 1 gallon of gas a month, $5.50. There's the Fuel a Flight, which is 6 gallons of gas. That's basically what it takes us to go fly a kid around for an hour. That is $33 a month. And then we have a Fuel a Plane, which is 36 gallons a month, which is about $200. With all those different categories, we have incentives for the donors, whether it be special Bold Aviator Warriors with Wings clothing that you can only get if you're part of our program. We've got pilot wings. We also have a ground school program that is donating ground schools to these kids that are battling cancer, and also offering a % off for the people who are donating in case you're working on one of your other ratings. And we're also working with a couple other grants to try and bring on some more incentive for not only for you guys to help us out with these kids, but for you guys to get something out of it as well. Another program we have is Making Your Plane a Warrior Plane. That's a one-time $1,000 donation. With that, you also get the same list of incentives, which are all online, which you can go look at. But our eventual goal with that, once we can figure out the liability side of things, is to have whoever makes their plane a Warrior Plane, we find a kid in their area that we will match them with. So that way the kid can come out to the airport, experience that aviation community that we all love, just hanging out around the airport. And that gives them something to look forward to while they're going through their treatment. And then you can take them flying as being the Warrior Plane owner. And it's just an amazing experience for them to kind of network, which I know we're all very familiar with that. And it's just amazing community to be a part of. And then we're also later on in September having a Landathon event where I'm going to be seeing how many touch and goes I can do in an hour down in San Diego. The money for that's going to be going towards the Rady Children's Hospital, so we can put a flight simulator in that hospital. That's where I did all of my treatment. So you can go on warriorswithwings.com to kind of learn a little bit more about that and what the incentives we have. Another cool thing we have going on right now is a 3-month fundraising program. So it's called the Warriors with Wings Squadron of the Year campaign. So with this, basically what we're doing is we have anyone can make their own squadron. And the squadrons are basically a team that you create, and you ask friends and family to donate towards your team. And all the money goes towards us funding these intro flights and scholarships for the cancer kids. And whichever team, so it's from the beginning of Sun and Fun, you can sign up anytime to the end of Oshkosh. And whichever team raises the most money in that 3-month period will win their choice of a free DC-3 SIC type rating or a 4-hour round trip flight in a DC-3 with 10 of their friends out of Riverside, California. So that's just our way to kind of thank you guys for helping us raise this money for these kids, because it really does go a long way. And the best way to kind of come around this cause is for us all to work together and for you guys to be a part of our Warriors with Wings family. So we're really excited about this. We've got a couple teams that are already raising some money. So if you want to get involved soon. So that way you don't get too far behind. You can just go on our website, warriorswithwings.com. This has meant a lot to me to be here at Sun and Fun to do the demo. And I just want to thank everyone for letting me be involved and share my story and share our mission with Warriors with Wings. And thank you guys all for